What's up, YouTube? What's up, my people? What's up, the bakery? We're back with another episode of The Bakery, the podcast. I am your host with the most, Mac Diesel, as everybody knows me. It's Christmas time. It is Christmas time. As you can see, I got my tree back here. You know what I'm saying? My special, my yeah. And then I got some lights up. You know what I'm saying? Just a little festive. Just something. Just get the party going, get the vibe going, get the get the spirit of the Lord and Christmas and what it means going. Get that in your life, in your blood, and in your heart. You know what I'm saying? Um, Today is gonna be a good episode. I picked a very specific topic because I feel like God put it on my heart so much recently. Um, Not only personally something that I'm working on, but I feel like all of us can work on as you know as a whole as the world goes on. So yeah, man, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna talk a little bit about it. We're gonna talk about some other things, and then that'll be it. So let's get started. So, the topic for today is attitude and anger. And I feel like that's been a very important topic for me just because of the fact that, it's been something that's been a problem for me lately. Maybe not just now, but probably like in the past where I've had issues with certain things and I didn't like the way certain things went, or I felt like I wasn't understood in certain circumstances, which a lot of the time is true, but I still have to keep going as far as life and work, personal life, friends, women, siblings, things like that. And I'm not saying that to come off as bad, but there's just certain things that I know I don't like that upset me or, make me feel a certain way that I tend to have this attitude that comes off as ugly, or it may not come off as ugly initially, but then it turns into something ugly. And I think that's kind of not necessarily bad, but it's negative. I think that I shouldn't have to come off in that way. I think there's so many other ways that I can, you know, deal with that kind of stuff that I can be calm, but also have that other side that's saying like, hey, this is what happened. I didn't like it. I think this should have happened. I think we should have went about it this way. How can we fix it? And then on top of that, just praying about it. I feel like when you pray about a lot of things, it tends to help you have a clear vision. And that's one thing I think God puts on our hearts is like having a clear understanding, having a clear view of, okay, this is how it needs to be handled, instead of going initially just choosing wrath and anger and wanting to get your get back, if you will. So a couple of notes, I wrote down that, why am I constantly getting upset lately about little things? I feel as though people are making me mad for the little things. I feel like I made blank upset with a certain issue, and when it was about an issue that it was not that deep. I took it and I felt a certain way about it, and that's because it just didn't make sense to me. I felt like I was explaining something and it wasn't getting through, if that makes sense. And so I had to kind of sit back and reevaluate not only myself but the situation. I've been reevaluating myself for the past couple of days and wondering what things I can work on, what things I can, get my heart to be pure about, how I can treat people better, how I can, not just come off as angry or upset because there's stuff that people don't understand, or there's stuff that I tell people that they don't understand, and they're trying to figure it out, but I'm not explaining things clear. And I get that. I feel like us as humans, we don't always explain things to our best abilities. And I know for me, it you have to almost paint a picture for me to understand. Now sometimes I can pick up on stuff a lot quicker than usual. I feel like a lot more lately I can. But there are some things sometimes where I'm just like, okay, I don't exactly understand. And I won't say anything. I feel like that's just me with my pride, because you know, I don't want to upset people. I don't want people to feel like, oh, I'm not understanding them when they tell me stuff. And again, it's okay to not have an understanding, but it's how you choose your attitude towards it that makes the difference at the end of the day. Um, you know, there's so many examples that I could give as far as my attitude and the way I went about certain things that, you know, they weren't exactly the greatest decision, if you will. I'll give you one example. Back in college, uh, there were friends that I had, and you know, we were a group of people. But I had a problem with a specific person. Um, I'm not gonna drop any names. That's nobody's business. Uh, but I had a problem with a specific person, and there were things that they would say and do that would annoy me. And for the longest time, I never spoke on it. I never, said how I felt. I never showed that I was bothered by it. And I felt like the reason why is because I didn't want to affect everybody else around me. And I've always been that type of person. I never want to, you know, bring down the mood on certain stuff that was, upsetting to me. And it was just little stuff like, me being in school, for example, um, not staying up late past 2 a.m., uh, getting on the game, not buying this, having a job, and it was a plethora of stuff. And I didn't understand why that was such a big issue. Like why, like me going to school and doing this and doing that. And I just felt like this person didn't understand why I was going to school. Um, so for me, I went to school because I made a promise to my grandparents that I would finish college instead of just dropping out. And I've never been the type to just quit on certain things, especially if I've already started. Like, I want to finish what it has been started. Uh, I think that quitting is just the enemy of happiness. I know there's other sayings that say that, but, I feel like quitting ultimately is the way to stop your happiness. And I could never see myself giving up on a dream that I have. Even now, like with this podcast, like I was supposed to record this video earlier this week and have it posted by today, so I didn't have to do it today. But I have a lot going on. I have my mother's birthday, which is today. We're actually going to eat steak later, and I'm supposed to go see some people that I wanted to see. But just getting back to the topic, just having that mindset, turned on towards, okay, I need to do certain things. I can't do this anymore. I need to stick to this, and I need to have a set schedule for my life so I can get through what I'm doing. And again, I felt like this person just didn't understand where I was coming from, because everybody was so used to me being able to have that fun. And I had to make a grown-up decision and decide for myself, like, I can't do that right now, or I can't do it as much as I want to anymore, because eventually I'm going to have to get a real job. I'm gonna have to, stick to a certain schedule. Hell, I might even start a family one day, and that might change my whole life around. Thank God that hasn't happened yet, but eventually it will. But I just eventually got to the point where I was fed up, and I wasn't thinking properly, you know, and I started getting more and more angry with the things that were said, and I just started being really ugly. Um, I felt like it was just me kind of expressing like, hey, like, can you shut up and let me do me? Like, you're not in my position. You don't know what I'm doing. You, I was saying ugly things like you didn't go to college, or you're not going to college and you're not doing anything with your life. You just work one job and that's it. And I felt like looking back on it, it was a terrible place to come from. Um, that was something that I was out of control of my emotions instead of using logic. Now, on the other hand, it made sense because they weren't in my position initially. Like they didn't know where I was coming from. They didn't know the trials and tribulations that I was going through. So they didn't get it. And I wasn't going to explain it because no matter how well I would have explained it or how strategic I would have explained it to them, they would have never understood. And I was okay with that because I'm okay with, doing my own thing, going my own path. That's our life as individuals. We have our own path. Everybody has their own way of going. So once I got that understood, I looked back on it and I was like, okay, hey, you got to do better with your words. You have to watch what you say. You cannot just snap on people because you're upset about them not understanding what you're trying to do with your life. And so it took a lot out of me to not retaliate, not respond when I had people attacking me, because the devil works really, really freaking hard. Let me say that, man. He works super hard. I've been dealing with adversity all my life. I can tell you that. And I've never let it stop me, and never quit. I never gave up on myself just because things got hard. Yes, there were times where I was like, man, screw it. I'm not doing this crap no more. I'm about to go, I'm about to be the next YouTube star. Or I'm about to be the next Twitch streamer, go big. And it's not that simple. It's like when you're protected by God and you have his aura, you have his light, and he shines through you, even when you don't know it, it's like you have a whole different perspective on things. It's crazy. And I know I talk about God a lot. I don't want to make it that kind of podcast. It's just something that I believe in. I know the viewers, you guys may have different beliefs, and that's cool. I'm so open to that. I accept everybody for who they are. But I know what I believe in. I know where I come from. So that's why I'm very adamant about, my spirituality and what I believe in. But like I said, man, it's something about the way that man works, and he just does so many amazing things. So I think with that situation and how it went down and how I handled it as far as myself and how I reevaluated and went back and I fixed it, I think that it really showed me a different side of myself that I know I can still live in this world and be a good person. I know I can, be okay with people not understanding, because it's not always going to be peaches and cream. It's not always going to be a bunch of roses and clear understanding and people just, living peacefully without asking you questions and being in your damn business. And so I think, like I said, back to the situation, um, going back, and then now I realize that I have to control my emotions when it comes to certain things. I can't, like I said, I cannot get upset because there's no understanding. Yes, it's frustrating. It's time consuming, but it's better to let people feel and think what they want versus trying to instill in them like, hey, this is what it is. This is what I'm doing. You need to understand this. I personally don't give a damn what people understand about me. I know where I'm headed. I know what I'm doing with my life. And if people want to get on that train and see me grow, cool, by all means. I love that. The more the merrier. I love my support system. But I'm not gonna sit here and beg somebody to have my back and, you know, understand my journey and you know, realizing that I'm doing things on my own way. And I had to realize that as well. You know, people are gonna do what they want to do, and even when you feel like especially with friends, like even when you feel like, you know, they could have did things a certain way, you ultimately cannot how do I say, you cannot control them. You cannot control their mind. You cannot control their thinking. Everybody's going to do what they want to do based off of how they feel based on how they feel that it's the right way to go in whatever situation. And so I think that's something that I realized and I've worked on as well, because like I said, there's situations where I tell people like, oh, that's stupid, like, you know, and not realizing that's something that I dealt with. So holding myself accountable for certain things like that, I think that shows growth within me, especially with that being something that I prayed on so much. You know, I don't like feeling like I hurt somebody's feelings. I don't like having the feeling of being ugly towards somebody or making somebody mad. Now there are times where I do make people mad with the truth, and it's not even me being ugly. It's just me being 100% real, 100% honest with them, and you know, just having that extra thought for them to think about, you know, just to think in a different perspective. But it's totally up to that person to take it and run with it. So ultimately, in that situation where I dealt with that, I had to let it go. I let it be what it be, and I moved on. You know, and I'm better for that now. I feel like I'm a lot more clear headed and better understanding of, okay, this is what it is. This is how I'm gonna handle my situation. They got their own life. I'm praying for them. I hope God gets them through it. That's just what it is. So, yeah, man. Ultimately, I think that, and I wrote it down, and it says, regardless of how simple an answer may be or how a problem can be solved quick, be kind to others no matter what. God did not teach us to be ugly towards others, but to spread love in any circumstance. And I have two Bible verses I want to share with y'all. James verse or James chapter 1 verse 20. And it says, "For the wrath of man woketh not the righteousness of God." And then the second one is Ephesians 4:31. "Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and railing be put away from you with all malice." And I feel like those verses really stuck with me because, you know, with keywords like wrath, bitterness, anger, clamor, and railing is a new one. I've never heard that one before, but I'll look it up. But with words like that, it's kind of like, it just kind of hit me in the chest, because it's like, dang, like these are probably all things that that have been what has caused me to be a certain way. And so I realize it and I understand, like, okay, I need to take those feelings, put them in the box, lock them up, throw away the key, burn it, melt it, throw the box across the world so nobody can find it, and just bury it. And I feel like once you do that as a person, as an adult, I feel like the more you'll grow, the more you'll have clarity on how you feel, and the more you'll, have a better understanding of how other people feel. Excuse me, and with that, you'll just live a lot healthier life. You'll live a lot happier life, and you'll continue to be healthy and go in the way that God wants you to be, because life's not perfect. We're not perfect, but the way we live our life should be a lot more pure to the heart than it is how things are now. I know that probably doesn't make sense, but ultimately, just live a pure life, love on each other, treat each other with respect, and not so much that we have to be angry towards somebody, or be upset at them because they don't get where you're coming from, or we don't get where they're coming from. So ultimately, just be pure and show love, because I know with me, I'm gonna let God's light shine through me every day. I don't care what's going on. I can be mad about something. I'm gonna get over it, and I'm gonna keep it pushing. But yeah, man, that's all I got for y'all today. I'm pretty sure these episodes will get a lot longer. I think this one's about a little bit over 21 minutes, maybe 22. But that's all I got for y'all today. Again, my merch line is out, so it'll be in the description below. I will post on Instagram. Like I said, I put my links down low, so y'all go ahead and check that out. But yeah, man, thank you again for another great episode of The Bakery. I will be posting this today. It'll be posted probably a little bit later than it is now. But if you're watching this at night, if you're watching this in the morning, I appreciate your support. Continue to support. And I love everybody. I wish everybody a wonderful Christmas, New Year. If I don't see you, come in with the New Year strong. You know what I'm saying? Go crazy. Go hard. And I will see y'all on the next one, man. Peace.